My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we are talking about Castle in the Sky, which was a collaborative choice between Rick and I, and because, you know, why not? We wanted to watch another Studio Ghibli. But before that, we were talking about major life changes happening, just generally having a good time, talking about food and you know, just a whole slew of other stuff. If you want to catch a part of that water conversation, you could go to patreon.com/featured anime podcast. $1 a month will get you access to that bonus content, or you can always join us live at twitch.tv/featured anime podcast. And, you know, be happy to have you join us live, and we'll be happy to talk and interact with you and everything like that while we're doing it. And phrasing, and threw myself off right there. Oh my God. Phrasing. Of course, we have affiliate links and everything like that for you in the show notes as well. And you can always reach out to us and let us know about everything, how we're doing and everything like that. It'd be very much appreciated. All that information is available on featuredanimepodcast.com, as well as all our social links and everything like that. Join us in our Discord. Be happy to have you in there and hang out with us as well. And now onto the meat and potatoes. Castle in the Sky is a movie, and it's the first official Studio Ghibli. It is an original, and it aired August 1986. Producer for it is Tokuma, Shoten, and Streamline Pictures, just for a couple of them. The genres for it are action, adventure, fantasy, romance, sci-fi, and it ran for 2 hours, 4 minutes. Castle in the Sky takes place in an alternate reality of Earth, and we know that it takes place during that time frame because of certain Earth or world events that have happened during that time frame. We also know that it also takes place during what's his name? I'm lost. Who are we talking about? I had my notes pulled up and I totally blanked on everything. Holy smokes.
I'm like, give me the context.
Jules Verne.
I can guess.
There we go. Jules Verne. Okay. It takes place during the time frame of Jules Verne, which was also a kind of like an inspiration for Miyazaki for when he was writing this movie, or writing the script for this, because he had a lot of inspiration from Jules Verne. So the time frame for it also takes place during then. But basically, in a world that is filled with like airships, you have a young girl named Sheeta, who's been kidnapped by the government, and she holds a crystal amulet around her neck most of the time, and she's also being chased by pirates at the exact same time who want it. And the reason why they want it is because they are trying to go to this world called Laputa. Laputia?
Yeah, Laputia.
Laputia? Yeah. Anyways, Laputia. But the only way to get, or what Laputia is it's a flying castle, fabled castle from centuries long past, where people used to live on these islands up in the sky. And this is their journey to, one, evade the pirates and the government, while also trying to reach this land and the events that are ensuing it, as well as the events that result of them being on there at the exact same time. I want to say, honestly, real quick, that this is the first, indeed, true first Studio Ghibli movie. While Nausicaa of the Valley was the first Miyazaki film, this was actually a Studio Ghibli film, and it also featured Totoro before the Totoro movie actually came out, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes. So that intro for it was actually normal. Also a couple of things to kind of really let you know about the differences between, because I watched it dubbed. I did not watch it subbed. Okay. There are some differences in between. There are some differences in between the English version, the English dub version, which was done by Disney. It was brought over and done by Disney versus the original. One of the things is they actually added more dialogue for the background characters in it. A lot of the music was actually redone and expanded upon versus the original soundtrack for it as well.
I can definitely see that. A lot of the time we saw music, it felt a little bit more played out than what the animation showed would allow it normally to be for a Ghibli film. And the background characters, the dialogue seemed rather copy paste a lot of the time. And that was not what I expected for a Ghibli film. But considering it's the first one, maybe I should have expected it more often.
Yeah, I mean, like, all they really said was they commissioned the original composer, Joe Hisaishi, to rework and extend on the original composition, which was originally supposed to be like 30, 40 minutes long. And it was like ended up being like an hour and a half long after that point. So I don't know. And it was also had more orchestraic pieces thrown in there and everything like that. So I don't know if it was necessarily cookie cutter-ish, but more so the original mentality behind the composition just wasn't there, you know?
I mean, that's possible too. I wasn't really considering the music cookie cutter-ish, just the dialogue for the background characters. It seemed injected more than anything else because the main characters don't necessarily react to what's being said around them as much as you would expect. A typical Ghibli film is, in my mind, incredibly detailed and incredibly detail oriented. If something happens, the main character typically will react. Whereas in this movie, it didn't quite do that. Now, you don't need a reaction and you don't need every character who talks to be acknowledged. I understand that. And it was slightly different than what I was used to.
Right.
One of the things that really shocked me beyond anything else, other than the fact that you mentioned it was a 1986 film, Mark Hamill's in this.
Yeah, but this, if I remember correctly, wasn't released in 1986 out here.
You're probably right. I'm looking at it right now on.
It was, I think it was released
Google.
in America, in the United States, in the 90s, early 90s.
Let me look it up. Yep, 91.
Okay,
1991.
So
you've got James Vanderbeek.
Yep. If you want to hear
really
about all the people
names
that we talked about the names of everyone, all the big name actors anyways, last week on the pre-show, in our discussion about the movie. Again, patreon.com/featured anime podcast if you want to hear a part of that wider conversation. So yes, Mark Hamill does do the voice for it in here and for Pazu, which I always heard in the dub version as Patu. I don't know why, with a T, not a Z.
Yeah, T. Yeah,
yeah, but it's Pazu.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, translation maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But
yeah, or just how they were saying it, like
the enunciation.
Yeah,
pronunciation.
Right. I don't know. Honestly, though, I felt like the movie flowed really, really well. I didn't.
Yep.
It was a great Studio Ghibli film. I honestly felt like it kind of was in relation to Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind.
Really?
Because take, for example, the design or the artwork of the monsters, right? Kind of was reminiscent of that. The laser beam of it and the mass destruction was kind of reminiscent of that. The creatures, there's a couple of creatures that are in there that are also very reminiscent of that. That reminds me a lot of Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind. And to be fair, Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind did come out before this. It was also an original, if I remember correctly. So a lot of the character animations, a lot of the looks, and a lot of the, I guess probably mentality and source material in between the two was, I guess, kind of carried over.
I can see that. As you mentioned, I don't think you mentioned it, but Nausicaa was in 1984, so 2 years prior.
Yes.
I'm looking at some of the artwork. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is futuristic and alien, which would make sense. And if they did draw from there, I think they drew some of the better parts, personally.
Right. I mean, you should remember it too, because we also did a review on it.
I had to look it up. My memory is unfortunately declining with age, and
your memory's always been bad. Don't give me it's because of my age.
It's gotten worse. It's gotten worse.
Yeah, maybe you should start using that and noodle a little bit more. Just saying.
It's filled with other things, unfortunately. Other things I shouldn't be thinking about. That said, I find that the anime is a timepiece. It does stand up very well. And it's the first time I'm seeing it in its entirety. I've seen bits and pieces over the years, and I didn't realize what it was. But it's one of them odd, I guess you could say, feelings, because I feel like the animation should be better, but the story is solid. If they were to remake it now, and I would not have seen the original, I think it'd be a very good film.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, I feel like it'd still be a very good film, but I don't know if you can exactly recapture the magic of the original artwork for it, though, it's part of the nostalgia. Like, if you tried,
so you think that this would work in you don't think it would work in a different art style or in a more updated one?
No, honestly, being the time frame that it came out with, the story and everything like that, it fits, right? Like, I feel like they would probably try to do too much and rely more on the graphics more so than anything like that, because his artwork is kind of mainstay through everything. I mean, it's always been pop, it's always been vibrant, it's always been there, but it's also had a very deep story most of the time too.
Well, one of the things that caught me off guard is I feel like, and I could be very wrong because I think it came out afterwards, so maybe my thought is reversed, but it feels a lot like the art style. There are certain faces that remind me of Akira, and if my memory is correct, Akira was 88, 89. Yeah. Okay,
yeah, this came out before Akira.
Okay, so this might have influenced that as far as the art style goes.
I mean, I would have to disagree with you on that. The art style in between the two really isn't there in comparison wise for me personally. I don't think that they're matched.
No, they're definitely not matched, but there were certain aspects here that I felt I recognized from Akira, but that's mainly because I saw Akira first. I did before this, obviously. But it's campy, it's cartoony, but it doesn't take itself too seriously as far as this movie goes. Right. And it has a aspect of realism to it that is, in my mind, iconic of Studio Ghibli. There are real world, at least in here, there are real world consequences for the actions. Everyone gets blown up, but nobody really dies. But you kind of do feel a little bit terrified the first time you see this robot. And
the robot doesn't come in until like a good halfway through the movie.
Well, yes, this is true. But the first half, I don't know. It's not that nothing happened, but a lot of fluff happened.
There was a lot of setup and a lot of understanding that they were trying to get going, like trying to set up the overall like arcing story, setting up who the big bad is, who the goods are, and everything like that, so that way you can get an understanding. Try to also understand the current state of the world versus like, oh, this is completely fictional type of reality. You have more of a, more fantastical current reality.
Okay. Fantasy then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they kind of, they solidify that in the first 10 minutes of the show, where you've got sky pirates attacking a girl, and they're very Lupin the Third-esque in their movements. And you've got one of the first, if in my mind, images of guns in firing at other things. And somehow, some way, you've got this. The best way I can describe it is it's either a grenade launcher or a flare gun.
It's a big gun. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, the big
That's all
boom,
you
but
need to know.
it's a single slug, thunk, thunk, and it's doing way more damage than miniguns, and it
Right.
They're very cartoony, and it's not scary as far as that aspect goes, but they're a good 1,000 girl who turns out to be one of our main characters jumps out the window after collecting her pendant.
You want to
try
repeat
to
that?
escape.
You broke up there.
Oh.
They're a good
1,000 feet in the air or so, maybe a little bit more.
Easily more than 1,000 feet up in the air. They are most definitely. I mean, like they're flying above the clouds. I mean, like,
mm-hmm.
If they're only 1,000 feet in the air, I mean, like mountains go up a lot higher than that. So, I mean, just saying, I'd be surprised.
That's fair. It's cloudy, so you didn't really see it in my mind.
Well, yeah, obviously, because you're flying in the clouds. That's the point of the clouds. Yeah, you're not going to see the mountains over there in the distance because of the clouds. They must be at least 1,000 feet up. I would hope.
Oh yeah, otherwise they'll be hitting the mountains.
Exactly. But let me also point out that the artwork again, because you talked about like more updated style and everything like that for it.
Mm-hmm.
The art style also really didn't change between this and House Moving Castle all too much. And they actually took a lot of inspiration, I feel like, from this. He took some of the artwork style and things like that, and he applied it to House Moving Castle. And the reason why I say that is because House Moving Castle came out in 2005, and the planes, the single planes, so the planes in this one, or the little single dual people planes, they have like little wings on them, and how they were flying,
like dragonfly wings.
Right. Well, they used that, and they looked more dragonfly-esque in House Moving Castle.
Hey, if it works, man, like I if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Is it possible that maybe I'm wrong in my thinking, but does Studio Ghibli, to your knowledge, have dedicated artists?
Miyazaki.
I thought he was just a director. I didn't realize he was a drawer as well.
A lot of the artwork and the story writing is his.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like,
so he was good out the gate.
Yeah. He's the director. He wrote the song lyrics, character design. He did the screenplay.
Animators. That's what they're called.
Yeah. Like he's done a lot of work. So like the character designs and things like that, like he comes up with designs, and then you have animators that go and animate the designs, bring to life what he wants.
Yeah, no. So I guess I was asking, do you think Studio Ghibli or maybe Miyazaki personally has a team of animators that bring these to screen? Because
obviously he didn't. Yeah,
dedicated ones, not contractors, not freelance.
I would assume it's a mixture of them all.
Okay. Well, my main thing is, if the style hasn't changed all that much from 86 to 2005, you said 2005, then I would assume it's a lot of the same people drawing it.
Or they're following his design and producing it the way he wants.
Tomato. I think that.
I mean, you go to a person, they tell you, like, bro, I want you to design this, and you're not going to go and take creative liberties because it's not your vision you're bringing to life. It's someone else's vision. So you're going to follow what they want.
I agree with you, but in my mind, I'm able to do a certain thing. If somebody asks me to do it a certain way, I'll make the attempt as best I can, but I won't be able to do it as good as the original. So that's just my limitation I'm throwing on other people. So,
well, again, I mean, like, it's not like they did a carbon copy between 2005 and 1986. All right. It's like 20 years. All right. just a hair shy. It's not going to be an exact carbon copy. All right. But also at the exact same time, like if you have one guy that's saying, this is the artwork I want you to do, and here's the design and everything like that, and they're going through and you have this base of like, here's how the art should look. You're not going to take creative liberties because that's not your job. You'd get fired.
That's not, I guess, what I'm trying to say. It's not that they would take liberties because obviously they wouldn't accept something they didn't like. In my mind, it's not easy to draw a certain style. So it makes sense for me that the animators wouldn't have changed all that much. So that's where my confusion, I guess, would be in, because I'd be putting my own limitations, as I said, on other people. But it makes sense the way you say it. I just never thought of it that way.
Yeah, no, see, the idea for you is you're coming at it from a different perspective of a non-artistic or non-artist perspective or non-industry professional perspective. You're coming at it from a like, well, I do this one job. I'm taught this way, so I'm going to do it this way, not the way I was shown, but a different way because I'm not the same person. So I'm going to put my own spin on it at the exact same time, even though I'm not really putting my own spin on it. I'm just handling it differently.
I guess my frame of reference is when I watched shows, not this one, obviously, but shows growing up, I could typically tell which studio animated it simply by the animation style. They didn't really change all that much. And
yeah, but
I didn't think
that doesn't mean that they have the exact same person all the time.
It makes sense when you say it like that. But growing up and up until probably this conversation, I just assumed once you got locked in and once you perfected your craft on one thing, you didn't alter that. And when people wanted your art style, they went to you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, 100%. And that's why you have certain people that are highlighted for their art style. Like you're not having one person that's going, hey, Rick, I really love the art style that you did for this manga over here. I want you to animate this entire series by yourself. Oh, by the way, I need you to turn out all those episodes and artwork in the next week. Can you knock that out, buddy? Thanks.
I get it. You're being a little bit specific, but
yes,
that's why I said the animators plural. But it makes sense the way you say it.
Anyways, any hoosers stories.
Yeah. Animator aside, the story is phenomenal. I really liked how unique all the characters were because it didn't. Good.
No, I was going to agree with you. They are in the story. They all had their own personality.
Well, one of the things I thought was quite funny is at the very beginning, he's shown to be a lovable idiot. And he's like, oh, yeah, you were floating down with this stone. Here, I'll show you. And he takes a trust fall and somehow goes through a brick floor and lands no problem. And he goes, oh, yeah, my head. If it was any harder, they'd use it as cannonballs. And then she falls on him.
Well, it's not that he so to be fair, it's not that he did a trust fall expecting to not, with the possibility of possibly falling to his demise. He knew what was right below him. He just thought it would immediately react.
He thought it'd save him, and it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't.
So, one of the other things that I also found really, really unique too is Shita. She points out, she's like, "Oh, my grandmother told me to keep it a secret and never let anyone hold it." And then it's like, but you literally just handed it to him. It's like, don't let anyone take it. Here you go.
Not just handed it to him, helped him attach it. Like he's having trouble clipping the necklace on. She goes, here, let me help you.
She does it a few times. It's like it's immediately contradictory of what she was saying. It's like, I'm going to say this and I'm going to mean this, but I'm going to immediately contradict everything and go, all right, deuces.
Well, maybe that was the difference between the dub and the sub. Maybe the sub didn't contradict, the words didn't contradict the actions as nearly as gratuitously.
So to be fair, what I looked up in terms of the differences in between it, that had nothing to do with it. They took out different references for certain things, added background characters for it. And then they also removed some other random references, but had nothing to do with the pulling of the dialogue, at least in that regard.
Okay. So never mind then.
Like one of the like the dialogue, some of the dialogue they changed was when she's on the pirate ship, when Sheeta's on the pirate ship, they changed the dialogue from her being more of a mother figure, a paternal figure to the guys there, and made it more of a romance for the English version.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so when one of the pirates bust into the cooking cabin, they profess their love to her.
To the granny?
No, to Sheeta.
Oh, I'm like, that's where I was so confused.
Yeah, they in the original version they portrayed Sheeta as a more paternal mother figure.
Okay.
Versus
a more maternal mother figure.
Yeah, versus a romantic one like they did in the English dubs.
I wonder how that would have played out. I mean, obviously not much changed.
Right.
Oh, they were all lovable idiots. The people you were rooting against at the beginning of the movie, you end up going, oh, they're not that bad. They're just puppies. They're just
basically,
big old puppies.
Yeah, they are. They're like lovable dogs. You can't help but love them. And like and like you said, yeah, in the very beginning, it's like, these are going to be the bad guys. And then like they're in town and you have the dude, Louis, with a big old beard, and he's like flexing to bust his muscles. And then they just start fighting against the town people. And it's like, they're not even really going out there to try and injure or hurt anyone. They're just.
It's a competition. It's awesome.
It is. And that's all it is, which is great.
Very early on, you become endeared to them. They're very endearing. And you don't really expect it. And it's nice. And it doesn't happen all at once. Kind of sneaks up on you. And you're like, oh, this is nice. I like that. These guys are not bad. They're actually helpful. Who's the real bad guy? Oh, that thing over there. And the sad part is, because I like Mark Hamill as an actor, as a voice actor, and he's very talented when it comes to bad guys. The second I heard his voice, I was like, oh no, why you got to be a bad guy? And he turns out to be like one of the baddest guys there.
Yeah.
Ugh. If he's not playing a dragon or the Joker, he's just bad guy number one.
You know, I mean, like, he does what he loves, and he has fun doing it. Like, so what does it matter, right?
Well, not just for me, because I like Luke Skywalker.
Oh yeah, of course. He's
it's hard for me to disassociate.
Yeah. And CJ points this out. One of the interesting things about all the pirates and what they wear shapewears or leotards, and they're all a version or shade of pink or red or maroon, and that's what they wear a majority of the time. So it's.
If I had glutes like that, I would too.
Oh, definitely, dude, 100%. If I could pull it off, I would even probably go to work like that. I would walk in the office if I could. You bet I would. But no, that's one of the things about this, right? Is like you can't help but feel endeared, and it's just like the outfit that they wear too. In general, it just like kind of helps add to the endearing portion of it, because it's like, yeah, you know, they're wearing it more so for a fashion statement, I guess, than anything else.
Well, no, if you look at it realistically, they're running everywhere. This is anti-chafe clothing.
This is functional over fashionable. That's what it is.
It's quite fashionable, I feel. Although those hoods, I don't really understand them.
Hey,
they have red hoods.
You don't need to.
Usually they're associated with airline pilots for what? Warmth? Like old style airline.
They're all on planes as the primary mode of transportation. Flight. Where are they? In the air. They're all in the air, flying around in
leotards.
Yeah. All right. So what more do you need?
Some part of their body's got to be warm.
I mean, hey, you know what? All that clothing could be insanely warm. You don't know that.
True. I don't. One of the things I thought was real interesting is the old lady. They all called her mom, right?
Or captain.
Or captain. She says that, and I'm not going to say she's a slob, but she has slob-ish qualities in eating, in practice, and she references that they should all find a good girl like Sheeta, because she'll grow up to be just like her. And everyone around is like, wait, she's going to grow up to be like you? Like, yeah, I'm a dainty flower, and can't you tell?
Yeah. The background discussions and everything like that is amazing. I'm a flower. I'm dainty. I'm, I'm not at all slobbish in any way. And at the exact same time, a bit of drool's dripping from her mouth as she rips something off with her teeth. Well, with what few teeth she does have. It's just like, it's comical. It's like, I am a dainty flower. By the way, not so much.
Well, not only that, she's probably one of the most badass people there.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? She's the
up.
captain. So, and being the captain, you have to have an air of authority and being awesome in general,
Yeah.
So
one of the things that I didn't understand is she is a jack of all trades to the point of if it could be done, she's almost an expert at it.
Not
Decoding,
quite. Decoding, but not a jack of all trades, because a jack of all trades insinuates that she also repairs or does other things, and she really doesn't.
She delegates that to her husband. I think it was her husband.
To the other guy.
Or kids.
Who knows? Who knows? All right. We don't know. We don't know who they are.
Actually, you have a better insight than I do typically. Before the second half of the movie, in the first hour, while our main characters are escaping and they jump down into a tunnel when the gem actually works for them both,
right?
They meet an older gentleman in the caves who says he can hear the rocks.
Yes. Being that I listen to rocks all the time, I will have a deep understanding and insight as to what that means.
Well, that's not what I was referring to. I was referring to the character itself, because you are typically more, at least 9 times out of 10, you are more keen when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Okay.
What was the point of him?
Uncle Palm?
Yeah.
To impart wisdom, to help provide insight as to what her crystal actually means, as well as kind of like fill in a part of the story as to what's going on. Here's the importance of the crystal. This is why it's so important. Here's the story behind it. It's actually really, really valuable. So now she has a better understanding of what it is, better understanding why people are going after her, in general, right? It's like knowledge passed down through the ages, and he's now sharing it with them. And then also impart words of warning, like, look, it's a very powerful piece of thing. Do not use it for ill. If you use it for ill, only catastrophe will follow. And in a manner of speaking, I mean, like, he's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I didn't understand was the rock and mineral that's around her neck, after being refined, is so rare and powerful, apparently. When the lights went out in the cave, why did all the other rocks light up in a similar fashion to her necklace?
Because that was also Ethereum. So the necklace, the pendant was Ethereum. So you finally had a name as to what it was. Mm-hmm. And everything else in there was Ethereum. But as soon as you broke it where the Ethereum was, the energy and power dissipates. So one of the reasons why people wanted to go for Laputa is because that kingdom, or those people that were there, were actually able to harness the power and energy and mine and refine that material, which is hard to refine and gather. And because her necklace was such a concentrated amount of it, despite it being so small, just think of like just having that little bit inside of the rocks he was picking up, just a little bit, it would dissipate. Having enough that was on there would be able to, be a concentrated matter.
Okay, that makes a little bit of sense.
So, I got nothing else going on other than that, man. I'm sorry, I don't.
No, I was hoping you'd be able to expand, but no, that makes sense.
I mean, like, I could try to expand on it, but I mean, like, cut and dry. That's honestly all it is.
That makes sense. Was there anybody else in the show that you felt was a bit out of place in the movie, I should say?
No, I mean, like, pretty much, like, if they were introduced, they were more so kind of like a story driving factor, and that's about it. Just kind of help move the plot along. One of the other characters that's in there too, you have to have, obviously when you have a big baddie, you have to have a dumb sidekick. I feel like the Muskas dumb sidekick was the colonel, I think is who it was.
The general or the colonel?
I don't remember his rank. Big dude.
I
know Muska was a colonel, or he said he was a colonel.
Yeah.
All right.
So
but,
I felt like Muska was the secret agent, right?
Yeah.
And he said, are you referring to the gentleman who was like, and I'm going to tell you what to do? Generals need secret agents to tell what to do.
I don't remember him saying that specifically, but yeah, basically. I tell you what to do. Yeah, okay. All right.
Yep, that was the general.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, like for a general, he was not that bright.
No.
At all.
No, he was not.
He's like, hey, Muska's like, hey, because you sent a communication, they knew what was going on. Turns around and sends a communication. It's like, ha, you can't tell me what I can't do. I will have all my communications listened to. Boo on you.
Yeah. I know better, and we're caught again.
Right?
Should I use it as a trap? Absolutely not. Why would I bother?
Exactly. So, I don't know. He was not the sharpest tool in the shed. And the one thing that I am appreciative of is he stays a very dull tool through the movie.
Consistency. If nothing else, he's consistent.
Consistently bad at his job. Yes, yeah. That is true. I don't know. I mean, other than that, I mean, like, I don't have a terrible bunch I could say about the movie. I mean, like, it was a great movie. There's a lot of plot to it, kind of, sort of, more so halfway through the movie. You learn about the robots, and then you also get kind of like a brief explanation as to why they left Laputa in the form.
I'm glad you saw it, because I missed it completely. It was like one song or something, and then
it was like a sentence. Like, well, it's not even a song; it's a reference to a song. And Sheeta says, "Oh, by the way, now we understand. We left Laputa because we went back to Earth because you had to put roots down and had to grow and thrive, and that's why we left." It's like, really, that tells me absolutely nothing. But thank you anyways for that useless piece of information.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you also learned that her name is
really long
and ends with Laputa. And then you also learn at the end that Muska's name is also really long and also ends in Laputa.
Something.
Yeah.
It ends in the traveling, it ends in royalty. That just ends in royalty.
Or royalty. And he has notes and all this information about everything handwritten from, I don't know who, probably from people he's kidnapped and tortured that were also Laputas. Is what
because he wanted to go back to his roots.
He wanted to go back. Well, I mean, like, he wanted to soar. He wanted to fly again.
I was trying to do a play on words. I'm like, we have to leave for roots, and he's trying to get back for roots.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, obviously.
Oh, goodness. Anyway, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was fun. It was fun. It was light. It didn't really take too much of my time. It was 2 hours, and it felt like two different movies. I liked it. I liked the fact, well, for the first hour and the second hour, vastly different from each other. So it felt like part one and part two. That said, I'm not mad that they went together. It flowed really nicely. The visuals, while a bit dated, I think they're meant to be because of the time. It is 86 after all. But it was really well done. The voice acting was, I would say, above average, with the exception of the background characters. But everything else seemed really nice and natural. That was a big one, natural. I didn't feel like anybody was trying to overact their voice. And yeah, I liked it. This particular movie, I'm going to have to give 8. I'm going to give it an 8. I was going to say 7 because there was a few inconsistencies, but looking back on it, the inconsistencies were so minute, it didn't really matter to me that much.
Okay.
I'm giving it a 7. I would definitely recommend this to anybody and everybody listening or with us currently. And I'd watch it again. I plan on watching it again with my wife, actually.
Okay. For me, I am going to give it a 7. And reason why I'm giving it a 7, I mean, like, honestly, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It was very nostalgic for me. I wouldn't be opposed to watching it again. It would not be something that I would, at least remembering wise, actively go and seek to watch again. Definitely recommend it, especially for those who are trying to ease into the anime. I do appreciate the artwork for it, the music for it, and everything like that. If you watched Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, and then you watch this, you can see a lot of the character similarities. A lot of the voices are very well done. I mean, like, it's Disney production, so anything that they bring over, they're not going to lack on. So I do appreciate the quality that they did put into it. I will say, though, for some of the characters, and the reason why I say that I feel like this is an alternate reality, or maybe not an alternate reality, but like maybe in the same universe, like maybe earlier in time as Nausicaa of the Valley, because of the creatures that ran on the giant, on the robot, those little ferrets or whatever. They're the exact same ones that Nausicaa had.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, 7 for me. Aside from, all those reasons, that's why I'm giving it a 7. Next week, we're going to be watching a series, and it's one I saw a long time ago. One Rick hasn't, and it's Last Exile.
Okay,
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
I hope so. I have semi-fond memories of it. I mean, we'll figure out how well I remember it once I start watching it again. We all know how that goes.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us. Very much appreciated. If you feel like we got something right, something wrong, did it too much justice, not enough justice, or anything like that, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach out to us. All our contact information and everything like that is on featuredanimepodcast.com. If you want to talk with us, chat with us, or anything like that, you can go to our Discord. Links will always be available for you. We also have affiliate links in our show notes. Anything you purchase, buy, all that wonderful stuff in the show notes using those links. It is very much appreciated. If you want to support us through our Patreon, hear some of that pre-show, post-show content that we usually do with every episode, you can go to patreon.com/featuredanimepodcast. Or if you want to hang out with us live and poke fun at us and talk trash in our chat while we're trying to do the show, you can always do that. It's always very welcome. Twitch.tv/featuredanimepodcast. And until next time, I'm Jack.
I'm Rick, and we'll see you next time.